Goals, planning, prayer, push. Okay, so we got G and 3 P's. G, P, 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 S. Here we go, number 5. G, P, 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 S. Surrender. So David keeps going. He keeps going a little while. And one day he finds himself, he's on the run from Saul. Saul's chasing him with his entire army. He finds himself in a cave. And it just so happens that Saul says, I need to really relieve myself. So he goes back into this cave. And there's David with some of his boys. And they're right there. And it's within like stabbing distance. And it's like, oh my gosh, is this it now? Have I ran all this time and snuck around all this time and lied all this time, and now I'm finally ready to do this? Listen to what it says. Verse 4, now is your opportunity, David's men whispered to him. Today the Lord is telling you, I will certainly put your enemy into your power. Do as you wish. Isn't it so great when people, well-meaning people, tell us, the Lord is telling you to do this wicked thing? So David crept forward and cut off a piece of the hem of Saul's robe. But then check it out. First we see of this for a while. David's conscience began bothering him because he had cut Saul's robe. He said to his men, the Lord forbid that I should do this to my Lord the king. I shouldn't attack the Lord's anointed one, for the Lord himself has chosen him. He's saying, guys, this is kind of like it's the right goal, but it's the wrong way. And I'm finally starting to realize, no, sneaking around is wrong. I just walked right up to Goliath, hiding and deceiving and all that stuff, and stabbing someone in the back and killing them when they're not looking. That's just not the way. It's not the way. I tell you what I want to do. I want to just surrender to the way. I want to just do it God's way. Why don't I just get over my own human plans and just do it God's way? And we see finally, okay, now he gets it. He's growing into it. He's saying there's something on the inside that has to catch up to what's possibly happening on the outside. So he lets go, and we need to let go. We need to surrender in all of our planning and all of our goals and all of our prayer and all of our push. There also comes a time of, okay, now surrender. And this is really hard because surrender feels like the opposite of push. Push is like, dude, you better give it all you got. Sweat, bleed, do it all. And at the same time, it's a surrender push. I'm going to give it all like it's going to happen, and also I'm going to surrender like God really has to be the one to do it. So I'm going to surrender to his timing. Ecclesiastes 3:1, you all know it. There's a time for everything, a season for everything, every activity under the sun. Steve Jobs faced a lot of challenges when he was kicked out of his own company. And he could have just gotten bitter, and he could have done everything in his power to prove everybody wrong, but instead he said, I'm going to take a season of learning. I'm going to grow. I'm going to reflect. I'm going to see if I can't learn stuff in this season that would improve me. And then many of you know the story. Apple ended up begging him to come back, which he did. And iPod, iPhone, yada, 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 the rest is history. He said to himself something like, I'm going to trust that there's a process here. And we need to say something like to ourselves, I'm going to trust that I'm in God's process. And he knows what to do to me. And just because it's not happening on my time doesn't mean it's not happening rightly. Because God knows the plan. He knows what to do. Delight yourself, such an important verse. Psalm 37:4, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. There's a million times, excuse me, at least in my life, where the Lord has shown me something I want. But really the question is, do you want me more than that thing? Or am I just your genie? Am I just here to get you stuff? Is this about you or is this about me? And so we constantly have to recalibrate our hearts. I've got to make it about the Lord. I want to delight myself in the Lord, and he will then give me whatever it is my heart really wants, whatever I'm really after. He'll make sure I get it. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act. Okay, I'm going to push, but I'm going to commit the way. When I'm disappointed, men are going to make their plans, but the Lord directs their steps. I'm going to submit the way there to God. And what that means for every one of us practically, guys, it means make awesome plans. Make plans that you're ready to crush the goals. Make plans that you're ready to pray really hard. Make plans that you're ready to, oh my gosh, you're ready to push. But also then take all your plans and put them in the recycle bin. And say, if my plan doesn't happen at all, blessed be the name of the Lord. Because he knows what he's doing. If I get a Job type situation for those that are in the Bible recap right now, I'm going to say, blessed be the name of the Lord. Give the whole doggone thing to the Lord. And here's why. See, because God is the great potter. Let's see that picture of the potter up there. He's the great potter, and you're on the wheel. And see, he doesn't ask you, well, what do you think we should do for this design? He doesn't ask. He doesn't solicit your advice. He just says, don't resist my shaping. I'm going to shape it the right way. I'm going to make it beautiful. And you don't see what I see of what this thing is supposed to be. When we resist the way of God and we demand, it's got to be my way at my time right now, the way I would do it, we're resisting the potter's wheel. And all it is doing is really, it's postponing, and it's demonstrating that we don't really trust. So when people, man, they got the house way before you got a house. You don't even have one yet. I know it's hard to submit to the way. God knows the plan for you. He knows how to shape you. When, man, I can't believe the awesome retirement package they got. I don't think I'm going to get anything close to that. Submit to the way of God and the timing of God. He knows what to do. You look at someone else's family and you say, man, yeah, it must be nice. It must be nice to have all that love. Must be nice to have all that opportunity, all those open doors. Must be nice. When you're tempted to think that, I know that that's probably very hard to not think that sometimes. But then think, I'm going to go ahead and submit the way to God. God knows the way for me. He hasn't dealt with everybody but me. He's got plans for me, and really it's just a trust thing. And then finally, this is the last step, we surrender the what? We surrender the what? What was the goal? What was it that you wanted to do? The ultimate test is to say, Jesus, I'm going to surrender the end. I'm going to surrender what happens here. I've been pushing for this, and some of them you gave them to me. You gave them to me right away, and others that took me 5 and 10 years, and others of them, it looks like I'm going to die, and I'm not going to see that goal fulfilled. And I'm surrendering the end. I'm going to say, I don't know how this ends, and none of my business from here on out. Jesus, you know the end, and Jesus isn't trying to hurt anybody. He's not trying to communicate to you that he doesn't care. But he's not communicating to anybody, hey, I'm accountable to you with what I do with your life. That's not anything he's ever said. He says, I am God. Trust me. I know what to do. Trust me. So let it go. What do you got to let go of? See, one of the things you're going to have to let go of, you're not always going to get a vote with God. On the way to your goals and dreams, you're not going to get a vote. Your opinion, it's not that he doesn't care about it, but it has no bearing on what he's going to do. Your ideas, as brilliant as they are, don't matter, at least as far as what he knows is right. And for some of us, it maybe is good to just say, I'm going to put this on the altar, and I want it, and the Lord knows I want it. I'm going to delight myself in the Lord, and if he wants to bring it back, he'll bring it back. But it might be that I'm going to be in heaven before I see what this was really about. It might be that there's things that only resolve there, they don't resolve here. I felt it, and it seemed real because I'm experiencing a kingdom that is happening both here on earth and in heaven, so I'm getting ripples of it, but I don't totally understand, and I won't understand until I see it right next to Jesus when he says, hey, look at this, see this? Wasn't this awesome? Aren't you glad I waited? Aren't you glad I had your back when you were whining to me, when you were cursing me, when you were saying, why are you doing this way, God? Aren't you glad I didn't do it your way? And I didn't do it because I love you, because I know what is right. And guys, we got to admit, you think you're right sometimes and you're dead wrong. Well, Jesus knows all those places. And so in his mercy, he shapes your life and says, no, we're not going your way because my way is smarter. And here's the great thing about Jesus. Jesus understands what it's like to surrender. John 6:38, for I've come down from heaven to do the will of God who sent me, not to do my own will. He says, my job here is to be the example human that always does what the Father wants. So my question to us today is, can you trust that he knows the way? And that he's going to get you there without necessarily revealing to you all the steps and all the paths, but he's going to get you there because he knows what to do. And best of all, he's not going to abandon you. Because here's what he felt. If you've ever felt this, Jesus has felt this too. Father, if you're willing, please take this cup of suffering away from me. He says, God, I don't like this route. I don't want to go here. This is not the one I would choose. I don't like this. I would love for you to find just another way to do this. But not my will. But your will be done. I want your will to be done, not mine. Oh man, dude. I'm hungry to take goals, but I know that there's a piece of life that sometimes is like the most obvious piece of you gotta let your goal into the hands of Jesus and trust he'll get you what's yours. Somebody say, God gets me what's mine. So I wonder if we can do this. Can we surrender all of it? The whole life, the everything, all the plans, all the hopes, all the dashed hopes, all the things that didn't come true, or maybe they just didn't come true yet because you were still growing into it.